like this cup, this Lycurgus cup.
It's interesting.
Yeah, this is extremely interesting because this is a dichromic type of cup, which means it changes uh, colors. If the light hits it from the front, it turns green. From behind, it turns red. And this can only be done by grinding silver and gold particles to the nanometer scale.
Yeah, I mean, what tools are you using to do
Oh,
it, and then how
and
were
then you
they
have to
able to,
write the right mix into it.
and how were they able to? I mean, that you can't see it with the naked eye
No,
if it's down to that level. So then, did they have some sort of
it's a
technology
it's a
where they
lost
could?
technology.
Yeah,
Actually, we couldn't duplicate it until the late 70s or something like that when we figure out how it worked. And, we had to advance ourselves to a certain level to figure that out.
yeah,
But every time there was some writings about the Romans, very few documents, very, very few, that said, hey, we had cups that changed color. And the scientists always said, no, we don't have cups that change colors. How could they? No, it's impossible. And now we're looking into nanotechnology, which is the future, and we realize, hey, you know what? But they have one or
it's
two.
interesting.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, Mr. Curiel, my teacher of material science, had a metal. It was called a memory wire, memory metal of some sort. It was just, you could bend it whatever shape, this and that. You could think of a paper clip, like a little wire like that. You would put it in hot water, and it would go back to its shape.
To its original shape?
Yeah, it would go to, like, let's say it was like a clover leaf. It would turn back to the shape of the clover leaf.
Really?
You'd pull it out of the water. You could bend it whichever way. You'd make it a triangle, the little paper clip. You could put it back in the water, and it goes exactly back to the shape of the clover leaf.
And it had to be hot water.
Yeah,
Wow. Imagine that.
yeah. So I mean, but we can do it now. Did they have technology before to do things like this also?
Well, evidently, if you have this cup, they made this cup because this is actually, a Spartan, right? Lycurgus. So he was a lawgiver for the Spartans. So, I mean, it is a Roman cup. So it can only go back so far, right? But they had this technology. I mean, this is the magic that I tell you about all these mysteries.
I was listening to Bright Insight,
Uh-huh.
and he was on Joe Rogan, and with the other gentleman from Megalithic, and he was sharing that this occurrence of like some sort of catastrophic event has occurred multiple times in our history. It's wiped us out. I mean, they were citing one time where I think it was like 30% of the earth was on fire, and then another time where there was an event where it wiped out like 99% of the I think he said megafauna. And so how were people surviving? And they were saying most likely in caves is how people survived. But imagine all the technology that they had that was potentially wiped out, and then they had to rebuild. And look at technology in the last 100 years for us. Look at technology in the last 100, 200 years. I mean, the Model T was created what? Was it in the
1920s?
Yeah, it was the early 1900s, right?
Right, I think so.
So, I mean, we went from Model Ts to Teslas, in 100 years?
Yeah. Well, I mean, technology, it's interesting because I heard a talk that Elon Musk made, and he says, if you don't have someone pushing technology forward, technology will have the tendency to cave in on itself. Technology doesn't advance on its own.
Automatically, yeah.
No. You need good engineers. You need, very good scientists, physicists, and so forth to push this technology forward. It has to be pushed forward. It doesn't advance on its own.